The missing one. First of all, English is not my native language, so I'll try my best to be coherent. Me and my wife have been married for almost 10 years. I'm 30, she's 28 years old, 3 boys, 5, 3 and 1 month old. Our first 4 to 6 years everything was wonderful, getting to know each other, loving each other, going through very bad times together. And somewhere after that our romantic relationship began to fade away. Obviously I never saw the signs that something was wrong. She always was very caring and loving. But I was never the romantic type of person. I thought that material things could substitute love. That was my way of showing my love to her. I always loved her, but I almost never kissed her or was affectionate. She told me that I never kissed her or hugged her, and I never paid attention to those words. I thought that by buying her things and taking care of the house, being a good husband was enough. Fast forward to 2020, our communication was in decline even more, but I never wanted to accept that something was wrong despite my wife telling me that she needed me to be more romantic. One day during March, one of our mutual friends came over to our house for drinks. He was a very good friend of ours. I was feeling sick that night and went to bed early, and they stayed on the porch drinking. Next day I had a feeling that something had happened, and I asked her and she denied that something happened. 2 nights later I was checking the chat logs and found out that something had happened. The messages weren't clear about if they had slept together or not. I confronted her the next day and she told me that they were drunk and they kissed, but nothing else had happened. I believed her. After all, she was my loving, caring wife. After that incident she began to be more distant. Our friend came over a couple of times more during the next months, but everything was normal. Then in August we find out she is pregnant even with the Dewey. She was panicking about it and I didn't really understood why she would be so upset. By this time we were so distant that I didn't really wanted to ask what was wrong with her. She wanted to not have a baby and I respected her decision. But we come to find out that she is 5 months pregnant, by what the doctors told us, and she could not abort at this stage of the pregnancy. Another month passed, and I was suspicious about her behavior. I confronted her again and he told me that she didn't know if the baby was the other guy's or mine. She told me that they had slept together that night but didn't tell me because I was going to get upset. And that after that she tried to distance herself from this guy. And yes, I noticed our friend stopped coming to our house after that. Anyways, after she told me that we had a long talk, she told me that this guy made her feel like a woman again, in the sense that he was paying her attention to her and telling her how beautiful she was and all that. She felt that I didn't love her and was just going through the motion. After that she began to detach from me. I told her crying how sorry I was, that I didn't care if the baby was mine or not, that I wanted to be part of this baby's life. By this time she was so detached from me that she just told me that she didn't know what she wanted anymore, but that the other guy needed to know about the probability of him being the dad. I didn't want him to know, at least not yet. I wanted to try to fix our marriage before she contacted him again. I knew deep inside of me that him being back in the picture wasn't good, but I had to respect her decision. She told him in November, and well, he wants to be a part of the baby's life if baby is his. This guy is single and was interested in my wife. So baby is born in December 15th. We still don't know who the father is. 2 days before New Year's Eve I found out they are having an EA, cause during those 2 weeks she took the baby to him so he could see him. One day she told me she was going to a doctor's appointment with the baby and left the other 2 kids with my sister-in-law. We agreed that after she got out, we could meet at this Mexican restaurant for dinner. I decided to surprise her and drove to the clinic to wait for her. The car wasn't there, so I texted her and asked her where she was. Oh, they are measuring the baby just now. I felt a rage inside of me. I knew she was lying. So I drove with my 2 kids to the guy's house. Her car was parked outside. I felt like a big rock in my stomach. Felt dizzy. I went inside and she was right beside him holding the baby. I wanted to break stuff real bad but contained myself. I told her to get out, that I needed to talk to him. He said that she told him that we were separated and asked him if she could stop by that afternoon. He told me that they had kissed several times during their meetings. I told him to keep his distance, that I needed to fix my relationship with her. It's been 2 weeks and she is gone again. I came home this afternoon. She told me that she needed to go out. Of course that I knew what that meant. She has told me that she has to take the baby to him because he has not seen him in 2 weeks. I told her that I didn't have any problems with that, but that she betrayed me by having an emotional affair with him. She didn't deny or accept. She just told me that we don't have any relationship anymore, and I know I can't do nothing to stop her. I can't leave the house and the kids. She works part-time and then I can't be away from my kids. We have so many debts. House is ours, and there is no way that she or me can go. She says we can be good friends like always, but I know it's not going to be the same after tonight, and I know that I can't control her. I had her but never appreciated her, never showed my love to her. I regret it now. I was a fool, took everything for granted. She told me what I was doing wrong, or wasn't doing, but I never listened, and now I've lost her. Even if she is right next to me, she is gone. The loving wife that I knew. I can't leave the house. Believe me, not her or me can't. I don't know what to do. How can I forget when she is going to be here every day? Every time she goes out I'm going to feel this pain. Sounds cliche, but I never thought this was going to happen to me. If it was that simple, I'd be the one moving out. But I guess I'm just creating mental barriers. She don't have nowhere else to go, I don't have nowhere to go, and we have so many debts. That's what makes it worse. I did sign the birth certificate. The baby is not the problem. It's not his fault. And yes, I want to just get away as far as possible so I can forget and rebuild my life. It would be much easier to deal with the pain. But like I said, there is a lot of things that keep us from going our separate ways. Debts, kids, not enough money to live in other place. There is so much pain, anger, sadness, emptiness. I feel so alone in this moments. She says she don't want to be with nobody right now. Kind of confusing considering that she is seeing the other guy. But yeah, she has the excuse that she has to take the baby so he can see him because he misses him so much. I'm still in pain. I sleep maybe 2 to 3 hours. Can't help it. Not hungry, I have to almost force some food in my mouth. Tonight, I'm going to start going to group therapy. I already talked to a couple of people in the group and made me feel a little better. Yesterday I was feeling panic. Anxiety attacks. I'm still deep in this back hole, but I want to get out. I was in denial. I'm beginning to understand that I have to let go. 6 months later, I find myself sitting in a lawyer's office, discussing the details of my divorce. It's been a painful few months, to say the least. I thought I could fix things with my wife, but it turns out that our relationship had been broken beyond repair. I remember the day she left like it was yesterday. She told me she needed to go out, and I knew exactly what that meant. She had to take the baby to him because he hadn't seen him in 2 weeks. I told her I didn't have any objection, but it still hurt like hell. I watched her walk out the door, holding our baby, and I knew deep down that it was the last time I would see them together. Over the next few days, I tried to contact her, but she wouldn't pick up the phone. I went to her parents' house, but they wouldn't let me in. It was like I had become a stranger to everyone I had known for the last 10 years. Finally, she called me and told me she wanted a divorce. I was devastated, but I knew it was coming. I had hoped we could work things out, but I guess it was too little, too late. She told me she had found someone else, and that he made her feel loved and appreciated in a way that I never had. I tried to fight for our marriage, but in the end, I knew it was pointless. We had drifted too far apart, and there was nothing left to salvage. So here I am, 6 months later, signing papers that will make our divorce official. It's not easy to let go of the life I had built with her. Our 3 boys are the light of my life, but I know I'll have to share custody with her. It hurts to think about them growing up in a broken home, but I'll do everything in my power to make sure they have a happy childhood. As for me, I'm still struggling to come to terms with everything that has happened. I know I made mistakes in our relationship, but I never thought it would end like this. I miss her, and I miss our life together, but I know I have to move on. I'm not sure what the future holds for me, but I know I'll always love her, even if we can't be together. Maybe someday, we can be friends, and we can both look back on our time together with fondness. But for now, I have to say goodbye to the life I once knew and try to find a new path forward. My comment doesn't look back, that's my recommendation, there's no point. Life only goes forward when you look forward. Story 2. After almost 20 years married, and more than 25 years since I've known her, she is kicking me out. She asked me to move out. We got to know each other in high school, and started out as friends. I looked at her no more than a little sister. She was a year younger than me, and there wasn't anything romantic. But one day, she played a song for me that seemed to make me think that I had a chance with her, and the rest is history. 3 kids later, this happened. In many ways, I blame the kids. I feel really bad for saying this, as I really love them, but since they arrived, I have felt that I lost my wife. Everything is about them. Everything about them comes first. I felt like a poor second fiddle. All the while, I was working my ass off at work, and trying to make sure I was making enough for the family. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 18 years ago, we moved here. She was very supportive, encouraging me to take this new job, telling me that she really didn't have much where we were. Her parents broke up when she was 8, and her dad passed on a couple of years before we moved. Her mom and her have this weird relationship where they would go into a cold war and not talk to each other for months, then suddenly talk, and it's like nothing happened. Her brother and sisters have super complex lives. None of them made it out of high school. She is the only one that made it through university. When the time came close to moving, she wanted to stay for a few more months, as it was when her bonus was to be paid. Looking back, I was selfish, as I was starting out in a new place and couldn't see myself doing this without her by my side. So I insisted that she leave her job and skip the bonus. So began our journey. It was great at first. While she wasn't too happy to miss out on the money, she was happy to be away from her complex family and her stressful job. She took this opportunity to pull back a bit and relax. She learned to drive, started to explore, and started to find interests which she had never imagined she would have time to indulge in, crafting. As I was starting a new career, I did what I could to encourage her newfound interest, and was happy she was doing something she loved, versus something she had to do to survive. Soon, my income was enough to support both of us comfortably, and we decided to move from our apartment to a nice mid-sized house. This is where we had our first kids, twins. Total surprise. Gave me fever when I saw the ultrasound. Till this day I have no idea why. The pregnancy was quite tough, and she gained a ton of weight. but she was generally happy. Then the kids arrived, and everything seemed to change. First mistake, I decided to take the paternity after the bad advice of colleagues, a few months after the kids arrived. I also complained a little when her mum was here for the first month after the birth of the twins, where I was longing for some alone time with the family without her mum being around. Her mum was also odd, as while she was enjoying the time with the babies, was always wanting to go back as she wanted to take care of her son. They even argued while her mum was here, so I thought it was best that I hastened her mum's departure. When her mum left, she apparently fell into depression, something I never knew until the last few years when she started to remind me about the time I didn't take paternity and chased her mum home. There was apparently an incident where she was so distraught that she locked the twins crying in the store while she felt helpless outside. She apparently had called me, and I had waved her off. On her first Mother's Day, I also don't know what got into me. She had apparently asked me what I was getting her for Mother's Day, and I can't remember why I said it, but I had apparently said "You aren't my mother," which hurt her tremendously, and while I've been trying to make up for it every other Mother's Day, it remains a huge sore point for her. So, the problem with me is that I have a terrible memory. I don't know why, but I tend not to remember anything overly emotional, or I just forget details. To remember stuff at work, I have to work very hard at it, and it's clear I drop the effort when I get home. All I am recounting is actually based on her reminding me on what wrong I have done in her life. But it's clear my frustration had been building at the same time with her priorities on the kids. I felt more alone than ever, and since we were so busy feeding, changing, fighting the lack of sleep with the kids, it was a daze, and there was never really an opportunity to talk about it. She is also the kind that is instantly defensive when I bring up the fact that I feel neglected, always saying, "How can I compare myself to a baby? Baby is helpless. Adults can fend for yourself." It was especially tough, as I was working really hard, as I was seeing an opportunity to get ahead and do well at work. I may have just decided to overcompensate and focus on work. Fast forward a couple of years, the house was filling up, mostly with baby stuff. She had bought so much clothes for the kids, cute clothes, but they were piling up, the toys. I always think that because she had a tough childhood with her dad leaving at such a young age, she was trying to overcompensate with her attention on the kids. 2 years after the twins, out of the blue, she decided we should try for another, and we got another. This time I took the paternity immediately. We had her younger brother fly out with her mum, as we didn't want her mum traveling alone. He was between jobs, so it seemed like a good idea. Except he smokes, and while he was nice enough to smoke outdoors, the smoke still leaked into the house. He also refused to sleep in the guest room with her mum, on separate beds, and made our living room his home. I got annoyed first with losing the living room, then smelling smoke. I told her about my annoyance, which led to her fighting with her brother, and he decided to leave suddenly. When he left, her mum got worried, and shortly after decided to leave as well. She blames me for driving a wedge with her brother. The third kid was a lot of fun, but again, the clothes and toys started to pile up. It got so bad that one of the spare bedrooms was full of stuff that we couldn't even walk in. My solution? Let's buy a bigger house. At this point, I was doing well enough at work that I felt we deserved a bigger place. She was not supportive, keeps telling me that I was the person that wanted to move, not her. Unfortunately, we had to move further out, so that we can actually afford something nice and large, but it was further away from town than she liked. The only saving grace was the school district was really good. There were complications in selling our old place. Buyer was going to back out last minute. At this point, I had already got a mortgage and knew I couldn't afford 2 places, so she devised a plan to help convince the buyer to go through with the purchase. It worked. I was pretty distraught by the experience, and also terrifically busy at work, so much so that I didn't plan well for the eventual move. Something she keeps reminding me, that I took very few days off to pack, and then when the movers came, had to panic pack and move, something she tells me that she is super embarrassed by. So, we move in, and I'm still busy, so I felt less pressure to unpack, but she kept hounding me about boxes being in this room and that I didn't care about unpacking. Couple of months into the move, I kind of snapped at her and called her a bee for nagging at me so much. This was apparently, to her, the first sign that something was wrong. That how could I call her names? Did I not respect her as she didn't work and wasn't making money? It took us quite a while and a lot of apologizing from my part for her to seem to get over it. But it didn't really go away. While I forget easily, she never forgets. Never. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. First thing she tells, "I told you not to drink so much soda, juice." Of course, she follows up with kind words like "let's figure out what to cook," etc. I was pretty sad at getting this, but later found out that my dad had it too, and it could be genetic. That said, I started to change my entire diet, but it was hard trying to do that without impacting the family, mainly because we usually eat white rice, and now I couldn't. So, she felt stressed trying to figure out what to cook, even though I usually do the cooking. In the meantime, our huge house was filling up with stuff again, stuff for the kids, crafting. I'd admit, I like my gadgets, so I contributed as well, but not to the extent as her and the kids. Kids are also super messy. We got so much Legos for them that they took over the formal living room. It's full of Legos. The basement is full of toys. Her craft room is full of craft supplies. To the point here we don't have anything over as we are too embarrassed at the state of the home. We lived this ways for a couple of years. Soon it was 5 years in this new house, and it was full of stuff. Something happened last year. Likely work stress brought home, but I snapped again. This time I threw some plates and broke the rice cooker. I can't remember the details, but I know I snapped really badly. I wonder if it was the blood sugar at work, and I even hurt myself. I scared her, the kids, and I sought therapy, and it didn't really help resolve anything for me. It seemed to be frustration, as I felt I couldn't talk to her or get through. After some months things got back to normal, or so it seems. We got caught up in life, kids. A week ago, just before our twins' field trip to another state, one morning, I snapped again. It started with me cooking breakfast that the kids complained about, and she piled on. Apparently, she wasn't happy that I had moved a vacuum cleaner over her stuff the night before, and it boiled over. I felt insulted about the food situation, having toiled in the morning to get stuff for everything to eat, and I felt it was delicious. So I was kind frustrated and acting up. While trying to clear the dishwasher, I was having problems putting a pot away into a packed shelf and asked her to help as she had a way of doing it. She complained loudly how useless I was at this, and I couldn't even get the simplest thing done and no one helps her with cleaning the house. I snapped. I told her that if it wasn't for her filling up the house, perhaps we would all not be so stressed. She went into a tizzy, immediately taking up bags and filling it with stuff, her laptop, craft supplies, and made a beeline for the door to throw them out. I went after her, and in trying to catch her, managed to shove her off balance. She didn't fall. She stopped, glared at me, and yelled, "How dare you? How dare you lay a finger on me?" And on and on. Realizing my mistake, I immediately apologized, but the damage had been done. She told me that it's a felony what I've done, that she hates me for doing it, that even her dad who left never did this to her mom, etc. But I think what compounds it is that I hurt her really bad by saying that she cluttered up the home. So here I am a week later, apologizing every opportunity I get, that she has asked me to leave, or she would leave herself. I am starting to look at placed, but I'm heartbroken. I don't know what to do. I worry that leaving would mean she would spiral even more. I don't want to lose her, but she insists with the shove I have. I have a great career now, just got promoted again, but it's all joyless as the home front is crumbling. I love my kids, and I never blame them for taking my wife away, but I could never really understand how she can give me up in a heartbeat for the kids. I don't know why I am writing this down, perhaps I don't want to forget, but I am not looking forward to leaving the family and losing her. She doesn't believe in counseling. She doesn't think she has any issues, but it's all me, lack of respect, control. Perhaps I am really a bad person. I think my moving out may be the best way to give her the space she needs. Also, I think the kids need her more than me. She drives them back from school, and she makes lunches for them. I can do the lunch thing, but not the driving as I'm at work, which is about 30 to 40 minutes away. Yes, I've never pushed her before, and I surprised me even. I think I was trying to grab her arm, and couldn't and pushed instead. She insists that what I've done is a crime. I went to therapy the last time. When I threw plates and broke the rice cooker, it didn't help. I felt like I was pouring my heart out to a stranger, and I didn't get anything back apart from get her to come see me too. I'm not going to record her. I don't think she is malicious. I think she is messed up. I think I am too. What is sad is that I'm doing well at work, but failing miserably at home. I just don't know how to cope with it. I've never been away from my family for any extended time. Even with business trips, I call home every day and text. This is going to be so hard. I don't get why she can just decide it's over. I did read your 180 post. It's good advice. I don't know if I can go through with it though. 25 years. Sigh. How do I tell the kids? How do I not scar them like what her parents did to her? My parents are still happily married, and I really respect them for staying together even though they had some trying times. Oh, as my wife also hates my parents. She thinks they are shallow. I don't talk to them as much in the last 10 years or so. They have also only seen the grandkids perhaps once every year. She never believes in seeking help for herself. She is so strong-willed that she thinks everyone but her has the problem. For the stuff, she tells me that I was complicit by encouraging her to buy them, but then also complicit when I didn't create time for her to clean it. Mainly cause she doesn't have off days such that she can. It's all a roundabout conversation. No time, no cleanup, husband's fault. She also loves to use history to crush me, whereas I can't remember the past well. She never was this bad. The kids' arrival really changed everything. I'm not sure why. I'm so heartbroken. Before they turned 14, we never went out alone without them. Even when their grandparents were over, we would do some grocery run, and she would end up feeling worried about leaving the kids at home. In the last couple of years, I've tried to engage her when we go to Starbucks for coffee in the mornings alone, but she is not that conversational in the morning. Her claim, the morning is when social media heats up for crafting and she'd rather be doing that. I'm very devastated. So sorry that you are going through this as well. I tried therapy after my plate throwing incident. I didn't feel it helped. I just sat there and poured out my feelings to a stranger. I went 3 times, and I didn't feel better or felt I got any good advice. The therapist just kept saying that I should bring my wife in to also talk to him, but I told him several times it wouldn't work. How does a successful counseling work? How interactive should I expect the counselor to be? I haven't left. She just asked me to leave yesterday. My kids don't know yet. I don't know how to break it to them. After our fight, she has been vocal about wanting to go away for a long time to see her mom, so the kids know something is up but not the details. They have gone into semi-shutdown mode as I don't think they know how to deal with this as well. We're fighting pretty regularly, and she is throwing snide remarks all the time. I can only imagine their stress. The interesting thing is that our fights doesn't seem to impact her interactions with the kids. With the kids, she is always smiling, always laughing. With me, it's the exact opposite. Even when we're actively arguing, she can switch on a dime to talk nicely to the kids, and not me. I checked with a lawyer. It seems in my state, as she is a stay-at-home mom, I am already screwed for custody of the kids whether I leave home or not. As I am not at home for the same amount of hours, she has the first claim. However, she has to find a job first. I hope it doesn't come to that, but leaving doesn't put me in any legal dilemma. That said, I don't want to leave. I want to work things out. I want to try the guide to harden women that was posted here. I want to find a way to make things work. I'm going to propose that I move to the basement and see how she takes it. This is really affecting me. I'm at work today and I can barely focus. It's worse with all the people coming by and talking about this work issue, that work issue. It all seems like trivial stuff when my family is falling apart. I just tried to schedule a new therapist but got voicemail. Boy, this hurts bad. I'm still in the house. She is still cold. She avoids answering my questions. I still haven't manned up about moving to the basement instead of moving out. Didn't want to aggravate her. I have set up counseling on Friday, and as I had outlined earlier, talked to a lawyer. Screwed either way. This is so hard. My history, there are 3 total incidents. 1. I called her B and instantly regretted it, many years ago. 2. I got mad, upset and ended up throwing plates and breaking the rice cooker 2 years ago. I just remembered I posted about it here when it happened. 3. I was mad, got upset as she was getting ready to throw some stuff, a laptop, out the door, and shoved her as she was heading to the door. More than a week ago now. I have gotten mad before, but I have usually walked away or just not engaged. I don't usually share my frustrations, even work ones, with anyone, not even friends, so I do have a history of bottling up frustration. It's been something she has pointed out as a flaw in my character before. After the plate incident, I knew that something was seriously wrong with me. I was also relatively hungry at that time and was wondering if it was blood sugar related. I don't usually lose control like this. For the shoving, I don't even know or can explain what happened. I guess I just did it to stop her from doing something I felt was stupid. Sigh. I just wrote this. I'm thinking of sending this an email to her. Any feedback? I hurt you. I betrayed your trust. I made the safe place that is home into a place where you feel trapped alone, without any support and help. I ignored or minimized your feelings with my ignorance. I tried to find fixes instead of listening. I have been a terrible person and a terrible husband that is not worthy of you. Just realizing that I have been continuously doing this to the person I love is a terrible realization and has woken me up. I have found a new therapist whom I am seeing on Friday. My focus is on controlling my anger and seeing a different perspective that I have been missing for a long time. My goal is to rebuild, if it can, what I have so stupidly thrown away. For many good reasons, you have asked me to move out. What I will do is move to the basement and stay out of your way, give you space. I do this as the family is my responsibility as well. I will continue to do my fatherly duties, and I will continue to work on the house, do my part, but the home will be more peaceful this way. I will co-parent and not be an absent one. Over the last 20 years, nothing has made me more content and happier than the family I have grown with you. While I have not expressed it as often, all of you ground me in life, and I could ask for nothing more. While I live life with few regrets, what I have done to you has become my biggest. I am pretty sure there is no other man, no other situation here. One thing she has is pride like no other. While she may eventually realize that she can come out ahead in this situation, I know she is more absorbed about leaving everything behind. I've seen her isolate herself in terrible situations with her family and spiral badly. Her sister has also behaved this way. She broke up with her husband many years ago and then basically dropped off the face of the earth, refusing to return calls from the family and not even wanting to be contacted. This is how messed up the family can be. I moved to the basement tonight. I did the move while she was sending the kids to violin class. I printed out the letter I had shared with the forum with some tweaks and left it on her side of the bed. It's strange to sleep alone in the house after so many years. Wish me luck. Therapy starts tomorrow. I'm trying to stay strong. Slept terribly. Expected. Don't know if she even read the letter. I am sure she couldn't have missed it. Mornings are as awkward as ever, except I do take the extra effort to not be in her way. I did go about doing what I always do, send the kids to school. She did have extra breakfast for me like she usually does. I'm trying so hard not to engage with her and talk to her, but wow, is it painful. I'm also living in the basement amongst the clutter now, between craft paper towers. So, it's kind of weird too. Little daughter confided in me last night as I was tucking her into bed, telling me that she is really sad about what is going on. And her elder sister had told her that she should try to be nicer. Perhaps Mom, Dad would not fight as much. That broke my heart. Had to tell her it's not her fault, and also told her I was moving to the basement so that we won't fight. Told her elder sisters this morning as I was driving them to school as well. These are the kind of heartaches one can never prepare yourself for, and never imagine that would happen to yourself. Terrible. I know I have to change, but is growing a pair like what you guys talk about the way? It feels like exactly what she is doing, and I'm sure about fighting fire with fire. I've seen this happen in her family way too much. I prided myself in being able, in the past, to help her get past these cold wars, shoulders, and connect back with the family. I worry that she doesn't have someone who can help her do this. She has no friends that she is really honest with. It hurts so badly knowing how she feels, and how unhappy that she can be, but instead of the past where I could help her, I feel totally powerless. Therapy didn't really help yesterday. It felt like I was telling my life to yet another stranger. While there was good acknowledgement that I wasn't just being crazy and I was genuinely frustrated. That said, do I know how to help myself? No, I'm moping around, feeling miserable. I took the kids to language school today, something my wife and I usually do together, but this time, by myself. I find myself alone for the next couple of hours and feeling incredibly sad. My comment, your marriage is not working. The fact that you are living in the basement means you guys need a divorce. I'm not sure if there is an affair or not, but if your wife sends you to the basement, maybe it's time for you to send the divorce letter out.